I never thought a normal day at work could teach me so much about patience and, in a way, about myself. It was a Wednesday like any other, and I arrived early, still sleepy, holding my coffee mug as if it were a lifeline. The office was quiet, except for the low hum of the air conditioning and the sound of someone typing, probably Lucas, who always got there before everyone else. I sat down, turned on my computer, and tried to organize my mind to face the endless list of tasks waiting for me. Then the phone rang. It was my boss. His voice sounded tense, a little irritated, and I immediately felt that familiar pit in my stomach. We need to fix the Mendy's client report by the end of the day. It's wrong, and they complained. I took a deep breath and asked exactly what the problems were. He spoke quickly, almost stumbling over his words. The sales numbers are inconsistent, and the performance chart doesn't match the data. Check everything and send it to me by 5. And he hung up before I could respond. I looked at the screen and felt the weight of it all. The problem wasn't just technical. It was emotional, too. I knew that if I delivered it wrong, I'd have to face an awkward scolding, and if I delayed, the client would get upset. I took a deep breath and started reviewing every line, checking spreadsheets and old emails, trying to figure out where the mistake was. Suddenly, I realized that one of the formulas had been changed by accident, and it altered all the results. A mix of relief and frustration washed over me, relief for finding it, frustration for having to redo everything. While I was working on the numbers, my colleague Raphael came over. He noticed my tense expression and said, "Tough day, huh?" I sighed, unable to hide it, and explained the situation. He looked at me and joked, "These spreadsheets get us every time. But hey, breathe. The world won't explode if you redo it." I smiled without much conviction. Sometimes just hearing someone normalize the situation helps more than any formal advice. I spent hours checking everything, cell by cell, adjusting charts, and drafting the final analysis. With every email I sent, I felt a bit more confident. But there was still that constant anxiety, that fear that something might slip through. Around 3 in the afternoon, I noticed my stomach hurting, a sign I had barely stopped for lunch. I sat there, trying to focus, while occasionally glancing out the window, watching people rushing by on the street, each with their own hurry and worries. I tried to remember to breathe slowly, close my eyes for a few seconds, and just disconnect from the stress for a moment, as if it could recharge me. When I finally finished, I took a deep breath and sent the file to my boss. A few minutes later, he called. "Everything looks good now. Good job." I felt an enormous relief mixed with a tinge of pride. It wasn't a heroic feat, but it was my own small victory of the day. In that moment, I realized that stressful situations can also reveal how much we can overcome, even if it's just within the routine of the office. Before hanging up, he added, "If you need, we can review it together tomorrow, but it looks like you handled it well." I smiled and thanked him, feeling a strange sense of satisfaction for having faced that chaos alone. I left the office a little tired but light, thinking about how small, quiet victories can make a huge difference. And as I walked to the bus stop, I realized that even on hard days, these small achievements make everything more bearable, and maybe even a little meaningful. I took another deep breath, and for a moment I smiled to myself, finding it funny how a simple spreadsheet almost threw me off balance, but ended up showing me I could handle much more than I imagined. I got home exhausted, but with a curious sense of accomplishment. I dropped my bag on the couch, took off my shoes, and sat for a few minutes, just absorbing the quiet of the living room. I turned on the TV, but I couldn't focus. My mind was still reviewing the numbers, the formulas, even the little conversations from the day. I smiled again, realizing that even in the most monotonous routine, there are hidden lessons, and I could feel proud for having faced my own stress and won, even if quietly.